All right, welcome to the after work video. So I had some issues with motivation the last few days. I didn't make a after work video. Didn't make a weekend video. So shout out to a really good friend I had in high school. It looks like he's doing so not in high school, but right after high school, I went to college with an intent to get a degree. You know, as is the appropriate thing to do, especially nowadays. It's hard to succeed without a degree. I mean, you can do it, but you're gonna have to be making videos like this and really working probably harder than somebody else would have to kind of make up for your lack of laurels and backing. So yeah, just a shout out to this person because he was a really good friend of mine in those really rough years where I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, so I just went to college. He actually is really successful and has a website where he talks about music because I went to college for music. I thought I wanted to play viola for a major city orchestra and live my life and have my career be like that, be playing viola in an orchestra for like the Chicago Symphony Orchestra or something like that. That's kind of how I had envisioned my life to go. Did not go that way, but this channel is not necessarily about that sort of thing. But the reason I wanted to bring that up, because I'll just go ahead and show off this. But the reason I wanted to bring that up is because there is a lot to learn from musicians, from artists, from those kinds of people when it comes to having discipline and studying and doing something consistently day in and day out. There is a lot to learn from musicians, especially successful ones, unsuccessful ones, such as myself as well. There's a lot to learn. I mean, the main lesson I think you can learn from an unsuccessful musician, myself, is just how much of a investment of time and a grind it really is. And this person who I will show the blog off, so probably even shout him out if you need violin lessons and you're in the Minnesota area. His name is Eric Bate. He's from a musical family, very, very dedicated musician. You know, ever since he was a kid, he knew he wanted to be a professional musician and did whatever the heck it took to get there. So kudos to him. I certainly did not decide to go that way with my life. So I'm really glad that he was able to make it work. Okay, so I'm trying to share my screen here. So there we go. So screen 2. So yeah, here's his blog, advancingviolinist.com. And there was a good article on here. Yes, so building a practice habit, quick tips. So we're not going to be building a practice habit for practicing violin, but we're going to be doing it for going for this test. So there's a really good suggestion here. I guess, well, shoot, I didn't save which there was something about planning out and scheduling your day that he said. I can't actually remember. Here we go. Yes. So in my experience, both as a teacher and a practicer, the more free time you have, the less likely you are to practice diligently. The lack of structure takes away your habit cues, and you end up getting less done instead of more. Also, the lack of urgency lulls you into apathy. I don't need to practice right now because I have all day to practice later. If this is the case, then my advice would be to make it your top priority to schedule each day the night before. So this is the problem I was having during the lunchtime video. I've only got an hour before lunch. I can't go anywhere but my computer anyway. So obviously I'm going to be practicing during lunch. So for this exam, not for music anymore. It's kind of a lost cause by now. But yeah, so that is really good advice. So thank you for that advice, Eric Bate from forever ago. Here's his picture and his name and contact information if you play violin and live in the Minnesota area. Or if you are like myself and you no longer are all that interested in music, especially not as a profession or a dedicated hobby, you can go to his blog, advancingviolinist.com, and you can find really good information about how to build a habit. The blog is intended for it to be a musical habit, but you can use it to build any kind of habit at all. So I took this to heart because this is definitely the problem I had. After work, I would have from 5 o'clock to anywhere until even 10 o'clock. So I'd have 5 hours, and anytime during those 5 hours, I could go ahead and make an after work video. So yesterday I actually did write down a schedule, and I actually scheduled my evening video, the one I'm making right now, from 6 to 7. So I had planned to take an hour break where I would swim and eat dinner, but I really think that's a bad decision. So going forth, my plan is to just, the clock hits 5 o'clock. I've got a lamp at my desk that automatically flickers off. It's set up to a timer. So I will be making the after work video from 5 to 6. And that will be 2 hours of practice, about more like an hour and a half with the, like this rant has already been at 10 minutes. But it'll be at least an hour and a half, which I think will be plenty for about 3 months. And then I will take the test and I can move on to studying for other things. But yeah, I think I'll read this whole thing, just because it has been very useful for me. So the first part of a habit is the cue. If your plan is to practice without a cue in place, then every day you would have to say, hey, you know what would be fun? Practicing that thing that's really hard for me right now. It's a beast. So basically, just if you don't have a cue, a time set aside to when to practice, you've got to transition away from something you are already doing in order to practice. And a lot of practicing is very difficult. It's meant to be difficult. That's the point, because then that's how you get better, by getting over that difficulty. If it was easy, you wouldn't need to practice it. So by having a cue for it, where it's like, oh, this is the time when I do that, you don't need to say, now I no longer have to do this other thing, which is more pleasurable for you, because the point of practice is to make difficult things less difficult. So practice is going to be dedicated to difficult things. So for me, the cue is, for the lunchtime video, is 12 o'clock, and a good cue. Kind of the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've the last few days really haven't been doing a good job on this, but good cue for my second video would be the after work video. Yep, now we read this already. So, yep, so there are 5 different types of habit cues: time of day, preceding action, location, emotional state, other people. So we're going to go with time of day and preceding action for both of my cues. For the first video, it's going to be done at 12, and the preceding action is work. For the second video, it'll be at 5, and the preceding action is also work. You only need 1 cue for a habit, but the more you can engage in, the better. So, yep. I mean, emotional state, I'll be using that as a cue too, because after a day of work, I'll be in an emotional state where I'm used to focusing, so it's really not that big of a shift to continue focusing. So I'm using 3 out of the 5 cues he has listed there. So really strong cue to start my habit of studying. Yep, and you don't want your practice habit to depend on the ups and downs of your emotions. So that's something I had when I had it scheduled at 6, because it was like, oh, do I feel like swimming? You know, eating, I think changes a lot of your emotional makeup too. So, and you don't want to wait for other people to, well, this is meant for children and families to learn music, but yeah, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Just wanted to give this guy a shout out. He was a really good friend of mine, and in college, right after high school, kind of lost touch, really haven't talked to each other in like more than 10 years, but I'm just really happy to see that he's doing really, really well, has a nice website, is performing lessons, because I just know that, you know, myself, I completely did not make it succeed as a musician, and we happen to be going to the same school, so kind of a little bit worried as to how he might have turned out. So I'm really, really happy that it went really well for him. So let's continue on with this. So so that's right. We had configuration we were reading through. So yep, I just found a book that might be interesting. I found some flow charts to troubleshoot OSPF. I found some, yeah, and I found some steps to T-shoot ISAS. So let's look through the flow charts for OSPF, and this is going to be relating specifically to, oops, so this is MTU issues, but this is going to be for level area mismatch. So let's see the flow chart for area mismatch. Well, let's just see all the, okay, so we've got neighbor states. Yeah, let's do that one. And let's do the MTU one too for review. Let's do the links as well. Area, of course. Yeah, and then network type. Okay, so to troubleshoot the network type check, determine OSPF network type for neighboring interfaces. Is the OSPF network type broadcast for the neighboring interfaces? No. open TAC case? Yes. Is the subnet mask the same for the neighboring interfaces? Yes. Area type check? No. For broadcast network type, the subnet mask must be the same for all neighbors. Troubleshoot OSPF area type check. Determine if neighboring interfaces are configured in the same area. Are neighboring interfaces configured in the same area? No. Neighboring interfaces must be in the same area for successful neighbor negotiation. Yes. Are neighboring interfaces in the same type of area, such as Stub or NSSA? No. Neighboring interfaces must be in the same type of area for successful neighbor negotiation. Yes. NBMA, non-broadcast multi-access broadcast check. Hello/dead interval check. Okay, so I think that's going to be fine. Let's read this because it said to check that. NBMA broadcast check. Are neighboring routers attached via NBMA network where map statements are necessary, such as frame relay map or dialer maps? Yes. Is the broadcast keyword used on the map statements? No. Return to previous flow. So I don't think this is going to be on there. So I don't think going to worry about it. Yeah, let's move on from these and look at the ISIS. Here we go. So issue, mismatched level 1 and level 2 interfaces. Are the routers configured for a common routing area? When both sides do not agree that they are members of a common area, there will be no ISIS adjacency. Okay, well, let's just go through and try to figure it out ourselves. So let's put, okay. All right, so I'm going to take router 1 out of the backbone area and put it into area 1. And this is going to be for OSPF. And it's going to be for OSPF version 3. There's not a huge difference, so except for, of course, authentication and the ability to support IPv6. But other than that, there is not a huge difference. Oops, and unfortunately, I will need to reboot. So I will do that. It's going to eat out. It's going to get rid of 6 minutes, but I need to take a 6-minute break anyway. Okay, so I will be back in 6 minutes. I'm going to pause the video and come back. All right, so I'm back to the login screen. Now that the lab has been rebooted, so we can work on taking R1 out of area 0 and putting it into area 1. Actually, I think I want to do it to router 4 just so I can use the guess. All right. So let's do IFP. Oops, we didn't get a DHCP address for some reason. Okay, so let's make router 4 belong to area 1. So right now we can see it's in area 0. So let's do edit OSPF 3 area 000, show pipe display set relative. Now we can do up, delete. Okay, now we can do edit area. So now you can see the power of that show pipe display set relative command. So now everything is in area 1, so it should come up seamlessly still. But before we commit that, take a look at the routing table on router 1. All right, so we can see we've got 3 routes learned through OSPF. And 2 of those routes are going to be different now because they're going to be, well, let's take a look at the routing table. Yeah, and specifically, let's take a look at the route for the loopback address on router 4, which is going to be this one. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, I thought it was. Okay, I don't get why. Let's see here. Yeah, loopback 0 is okay. So I'm surprised that I don't see this address in router 1. Yeah, it just doesn't have a route for that, which is really surprising to me because we do have it included in the OSPF configuration for area 0. All right, but let's just focus on the IPv6 routes. And see what happens when I commit this config. Okay, everything looks the same. Let's do a show OSPF neighbor, 3 neighbor. Oops, but the thing is we lost all of our neighbors now. Which is another thing I'm kind of surprised by, because I thought you could have a, like, I didn't think it would just lose the neighborships. Let's do a show routes, protocol local. Ah, here we go. So now we can see that the path is no longer cost equal. In fact, we don't have another option here because all these OSPF neighbors are down. Which again is something I'm kind of surprised by. Because we do have them, it's just, it's in a different area, but I thought that would be fine. Like you can, oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, I have this all wrong in my mind. I have a good sense of how this works, but it's just, you know, a little bit rusty. So an area border router, we've got two routers here, and we've got a connection between the two routers. You're not going to have an ABR have a link in area 0 to area 1. This is not an ABR connection. So first of all, which router is the ABR? Can you tell me that? Well, there's no way to tell which is the area border router because there's just like, how would you tell? Now let's take a look at something else here. Okay, so now let's say we've got 3 routers here. We've got a full mesh connection between these 3 routers. And just like that other topology, we're going to assign a area to each of the interfaces because remember it's IP, so it's per interface, unlike ISIS. So this is the backbone area. So all of these are going to be belong to area 0. Okay, so now what we're going to do, oops, and there was one that's missing, is we're going to add another one here. So we know that if I assign this to area 0 and this to area 1, you know, which router is the ABR? Which one is at the border of the areas? So it's hard to know. Is there even one? It almost looks like there's 2. So the reason it's so hard to figure out which router is the ABR is because this is not a valid configuration. This is not how you configure multi-area OSPF. This is how you configure it. So here, it's obvious and plain to see This router here is the ABR, it's the area border router, because it has an interface in area 1 and an interface in area 0, backbone area. So it's serving as a border between area 0 and area 1. So the ABR is here. These are all internal routers in area 0, and this is an internal router in area 1. So if we wanted to add more routers to area 1, another full mesh like we had there, we can do so just fine, like this. So now all these are going to be in area 1. So the question I have is, how many area border routers do we have now? 3, 2, 1. We still have just one area border router. This router here is not an area border router. It's a router. It's a internal router to area 1. This is the only area border router. So you can never have a link with one area connecting to another area. It's not possible. So this configuration I have on router 4, I'm going to need to roll back. Okay, and now if I want this to work, I can do that. I'm just going to need to make some edits on the other routers as well, and then have my topology kind of make a bit more sense by just, oops, and I deleted that link. I did not mean to do that. Can I Control Z? Cannot Control Z. All right, so I will add that link back somehow. All right, there we go, nice and easy. So yeah, hopefully that's really nice and clear. So let's reorient this so that it's more clear which router is the area border router. Okay, so now, just like before, we've got a full mesh here, but now we've got 3 links to router 4. This is going to be in area 1. These are all going to be in area 0. But if I keep it like this, so that all of those links are valid, which is the area border router? 3, 2, 1. All 3 of these would be the area border router if I just make the links going to router 4 in a different area. Another thing I can do is just have these links in the backbone area, and then have just this link be in area 1. I think I'm going to do that just because that would be interesting, might be a bit overly complicated and not really what you'd see in the real world. But I think it'll help get a good sense of how OSPF works. Okay, so let's do edit protocols OSPF 3. And then, so we're going to have, so the edit area 000, and I'll remove the link to router 4. That's interesting. Oh, sorry, not the link to router 4, the link to router 1. There we go. So delete. Perfect. And now I will add that to area 1. but I am not done yet. I'll get my neighbors back to router 2 and router 3. So I'll have 2 OSPF version 3 neighbors. Yep, so I got 2 of them. But in order to get my final neighbor, I will need to modify router 1. Okay, so hopefully I've got my 3rd neighbor now. And I do. So unfortunately, I don't see an indicator for the area that it's in. I can tell that this is the neighbor though, because it's the only one in exchange. Hopefully it goes into full. It did. So I don't see an indication of which area it belongs to. Yeah, so, oops. One thing that's interesting is I don't see any, I guess that's an indicator. We don't have any cost equal paths anymore because there's no longer an equal cost to this route. It's only going to be via this. So if I do a show in description, type match. So this is to router 2. So this route here no longer has a cost equal path going through here and then to there, as well as through here and then to there, because this is a different OSPF area. So the cost of traversing through OSPF areas are greater than the costs of remaining in an OSPF area. So just that simple config, even though nothing else can change at all, made it so that there are no longer any cost equal paths to these because there's an extra cost to traverse an OSPF area. I wonder if there's a way to show like the full table. Yeah. So like if I can see what the cost is of it. Yeah, so I can do the destination. So let's see if we can find the cost. Nope, I don't see anything. I was wondering if there's a way to see that other route show up both as a low cost and a high cost route, but I only see the one. Here's a good one. Show OSPF interface so we can see which area each of the interfaces belongs to. Yeah, I was wondering if there's a way, because it calculates the shortest path to a destination. So I was wondering if there's a way I could get something back that says what that calculation was to that, and I can see, oh, well, there was an added cost to going through it through this path because it traversed a OSPF area. This path, this other path, made it to the table because it did not have to traverse that area. I mean, that's really interesting to know, because I could have a I could have a T1 link here, but I believe it will still take this path here, even though I have 40 gig links here and here, because it assigns that extra cost to leaving the backbone area. So it could take a less optimal route if you don't have your OSPF area architecture correctly. Okay, so we got about 7 minutes. So let's go ahead and yeah, I think we got a good understanding of an area mismatch. We learned how to set up an ABR properly. You have to have both ends of the links in the same area. You can't have one router with a link in one area and then the other side of that link have another router with that port in a different area that would belong to the same area. This is not the case in ISIS. You can have a level 2/1 connect to a level 1 or a level 2, but it's a little bit similar because you cannot have a level 1 connect to a level 2. So you really are having this match in the levels. But that's the levels, of course. ISIS has levels and areas. All right, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. So let's add the tags here. Okay, so I'm pretty satisfied with this. Let's make some goals again. So this is configuration and troubleshooting for level area mismatch. So one goal is going to be OSPF area mismatch. So pretty satisfied with that. I guess one thing I would like to do is configure that again and have some trace options going. So on router 4, let's do a show log. And then, yeah. So OSFP. Let's do a monitor start. T-shoot OSFP 3. Okay. And then let's on router 1 undo that change so that they're going to be different areas across the same link. So it's not going to be a valid configuration. And let's see what the trace options return. That will be useful to know on exam day. Okay, so this is no longer going to belong to area 1 is going to belong to area 0. So we're going to have a link between router 4 and router 1 with the end on router 1 in area 0, but the end on router 4 in area 1, which will not work, but hopefully we'll get some messages that can help us detect that. Okay, so yeah, I'm seeing some stuff that looks like it could be helpful. Okay, so I think I'm about ready to stop this. Great, so I did a monitor stop, so let's look at that update. So here we just had our periodic hellos, aha, but I can already see it. OSPF packet ignored, area mismatch 000, and even tells you where it came from. So I can do show log. Pipe match, mismatch, and there we go. We've got really clear, nice and easy messages that I can use on exam day to have it just instantly pop out to me what the problem is and resolve it very quickly. Okay, so I'm really happy with this. I'm going to mark it off. Okay, so yeah, I think we learned what a area mismatch looks like. So let's in the next video look at OSPF stub area mismatches, and then let's look at IS area mismatches, and then IS level mismatches. Okay, and then that will be it for this video. That will be it for the topic. So hopefully it's only one video away. The lunchtime video tomorrow, I can finish it up and then move on. Oops. Here we go. There we go. So that's it for this video. We got through OSPF area mismatch, got through a kind of a confusion I had, misconception. I knew it's kind of rusting a little bit. But next video we'll be looking at stub area mismatches and ICS. So stay tuned and thanks for watching.